Hey guys, congratulations on She's in Portland.
Thank you.
I think the last time I spoke to you guys was at the Santa Barbara Film Festival. That was a success, wasn't it?
It was. You looked familiar.
I look familiar. So, hey, congratulations. So tell me where the original idea came from for She's in Portland.
Yeah, actually, it's sort of crazy that we're kind of watching the whole California coast burn down right now, but it really was I wanted to sort of pay tribute to the PCH. I was really fascinated by this particular part of the world, and I wanted to try to create something that kind of showed a real inside look into the California coast through a road trip. And from there, I just sort of started drawing from what I knew and understood, which was moving to California, trying to make it in the entertainment industry, struggling as an artist, questioning if I made all the right decisions with my life into my 30s. And oftentimes I was calling my close friends that I grew up with through high school and college that were all back on the East Coast, which is where I grew up. And oftentimes venting about my life and my frustrations. And I was starting to hear that they had their own problems too, that seemed a lot more magnified than mine. You know, I thought they had it all figured out. They had, bought their homes, they got married, they had their children, they had their good careers, but things were just as complicated, if not more. And that's kind of when I felt like I had a story that I wanted to tell. I kind of grew up being pretty inspired by buddy films. I have two brothers, and I think I still have close friends from this day from grade school, and felt like that was the lane I wanted to go down and wanted to make this movie. And I think it was through those conversations that I had into my early 30s that I felt like I had something I could speak about. So that's kind of.
So the story kind of went on the same path as the characters in its own roundabout way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So how many trips did you guys do on the PCH before production actually started?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I took handfuls of trips. I mean, really that was the first step for me, like bearing down and writing the script, was to kind of really go discover my setting. And I felt like it was just about getting in the car over the course of 2 weeks around a Thanksgiving many years ago, and stumbling upon a lot of locations. A lot of people had told me I needed to go see certain spots, which I did. And I think that started to inform scenes. It started to inform, moments for my characters and the character development. And yeah, but, after I did that first initial trip, there were probably a handful of location scouts up the coast prior to shooting. And then after we shot, we still went back and shot a bunch of the aerial photography a couple times after that. So it's probably a couple handful of times up and down the coast to capture this thing. So
I only had to do it once.
Well, you had a good time doing that.
Mark tried to drag me back up there.
I did. We actually he was getting ready to do it twice, and then the Bronco broke down.
That's true. The Bronco did break down at one point.
In Malibu, luckily it was just in Malibu, so he didn't have to go far to get back home.
Tell me about the Bronco itself, because that's another character in this film.
Yeah. Back to just all these little personal touches. I, about 10 years ago, was living in Hollywood on Poinsettia, and there was a really souped up Bronco that was like across the street in my neighborhood. And I think that was the first time I was like, yeah, these guys are going to be in a Bronco. And it's going to be this tangerine orange Bronco against these like lush green mountains and this, crystal blue ocean. Like that was kind of like my palette. And so I didn't know how I was going to get a Bronco on my hands. And I started looking on Craigslist for Broncos for about a year or two. And I kind of started thinking that I was going to have to probably buy one of these things to remove like liability from my hands and sort of have complete control of the asset. which I did. And I bought it solely for the movie, and then sold it about a year ago to a guy in somewhere up in the Bay Area, actually. And he's excited to see the movie. He was going to go to the Sonoma Film Festival to see it. Obviously that broke down. Yeah, he's since taken it and souped it up even more, and sent me photos. And but it was very specific to the movie. It is like a third character in the movie. It's kind of that story.
Not to get too cheesy about it, but it's also functions as like, a central metaphor for the movie, right? Like, these two friends haven't spent significant time together for a while. Obviously, my guy speaks the language of finance, and sort of to get his buddy fired up, buys him something, and that something then breaks down as the movie goes forward, and they end up stranded in the redwoods. So it speaks to their the trouble they're having communicating, having taken such divergent paths. So I think credit to Marc, and the way he uses big scenic backdrops and sort of iconography, the Bronco being one of the strongest representations of that throughout the movie. It's just it's really cool how he wove that into the whole thing.
So Tommy, was it easy to convince you to go along with this workation type of project?
Quite easy. I think I just finished something else. I've been working in LA for a long time. It's just the idea of hitting the road with a great script and an actor who I really admire, Francois Arnault. It feels. I mean, it's not like. It felt like a kind of renegade filmmaking that I hadn't gotten to do, which was shooting 6 days a week. We're on a pretty tight budget, so we're only taking Sunday off. It's me and Francois and Marc sharing, Airbnbs and weird hotels along the way, and cracking open a bottle of wine at night and talking about the next day's work and maybe making some adjustments to the script, pitching some jokes. It was just a kind of all-in experience that I was looking for at the time, and still look for. I mean, it's rare that you get to make something that's just the right size with great material and great people. So it was not a hard sell.
So how was it working with Francois? Obviously, he's not here on the interview, but Tommy basically had to work almost every single scene with Francois, and Francois was there for the entire trip.
So I'm glad he's not here, because whatever I say is on the record, and my word is the truth. No, I love the guy. We've stayed really close since. And I think, Marc could jump in here. Our styles are yin and yang, are kind of perfectly different. I come a little more from comedy, having spent a little time in drama, but most of my TV work is comedy. And Francois kind of comes from the drama side, and it just works for the Wes and Luke thing. Wes is using humor to kind of try to get his buddy back on track. Luke is also saying, coming from a place of, you should take life more seriously. It sounds like yours is cratering, and maybe kind of paying attention to what's going on would do you some good. And like I said, he was on board with that renegade thing too. It'd be he was willing to stay up late and talk shop and really get his hands dirty and go to work every morning in the way that I like to do and Marc likes to do. So it's tough to make a movie like this when you're shooting that many pages a day and that many locations if everybody's not all in. And he certainly was. And like I said, we're great friends. I talked to him 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's, I got really lucky with just people that saw this as a labor of love and didn't look at this like a job. They cared just as much about like their work in this and their performance in this as I did about the material, of course. And it was like it's kind of like going to camp and meeting new people and just bonding and uniting for a good cause. And this was something that they cared a lot about, and it helped because they're both really brilliant guys, and writers on their own. Tommy's a just as successful as a writer as he is as an actor. And he was always bringing some incredible input to this and helping along the way. Because, you know, when you're directing a film for the first time and you have all of these crazy variables, it's nice to know that you've got your own actors that are sort of seeing the through line with the story and helping in moments where, you know, and someone in my case might have a lot of things on my mind at one time. They were just honed in, you know, and it helped tremendously. And we got along so well. And I agree. I'm still very close with Tommy to this day. And he's just been an incredible asset in this whole journey. So as well as Francois. Can't leave out Francois here.
No, maybe we should trash him a little. He's not here. This is an opportunity.
Where do I begin? I don't even know.
Well, just curious, did the car stink up towards the end of the production?
A sync up?
Stink up.
Stink up.
It did just die.
It basically died. We had to rejuvenate it, bring it back to life. It was loud, but it wasn't as stinky. I mean,
it was a little fumy.
It was very fumy, so that would be the stinky part of it.
Yeah, by the end of the long day, you kind of had a contact high from whatever was coming off the catalytic converter and making its way into the cab. Funnily, we, you know, being sort of fancy, soft actors, we drove from location to location. We were driven from location to location in like a proper Suburban, and Marc had to drive the Bronco from place to place. So
luckily,
you did the heavy lifting on that front.
Luckily, our co-writer was my co-pilot for those many crazy windy roads without lane.
Tell you what, that car gets a lot of compliments. It was really fun driving that up the coast because it is. It's not hard to miss, and people love those. What year is that Bronco?
73. People
love that generation of those cars.
There was a quote that kind of made its way through this whole thing, which was "Sweet Bronco, bro," because we were on a location scout once, and like we parked the car, and it was this little trail that we had to walk over this bluff overlooking the ocean, and on our way back, someone was like, "Is that your Bronco?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Sweet Bronco, bro." Anyway, so that became a go-to quote. Sweet Bronco, bro.
Sweet Bronco, bro. How much of the trip actually was made? Obviously, it started in Los Angeles, but you guys didn't really go all the way to Portland, obviously.
Well, actually, that was the thing about this. It was just it's crazy how this all came together. But I was pretty specific on where I wanted to shoot this, and I wanted to like capture all of these locations that I had discovered. So, you know, we had an amazing crew that was able to logistically pull this off, and we did shoot 17 days from Los Angeles to Crescent City, California, which is basically the California-Oregon border, and all of these scenes that take place up the coast are actually shot at the specific places. And it was challenging because it was a situation where you had to get what you wanted because you couldn't go back and reshoot these scenes because it was just, you got to get your stuff and keep going north. So yeah, but you know, and then we actually did a pickup in Portland a month after principal photography. But it's crazy to think about how we were able to land at each location and get these scenes, and we didn't run into a lot of problems, surprisingly. So yeah, it's a miracle, I think. Tommy can step in and just talk about how crazy it was to do that.
No, I mean, we did luck into location. I mean, this is a sad thing, and we're still seeing, you know, a lot of rough stuff this week with environmental catastrophe on the West Coast. But when we were shooting this film, there was 2 landslides around bracketing Big Sur, so there wasn't that typical summer traffic through Big Sur. So we almost had the town to ourselves. And being one of the most beautiful places on earth, you just don't get that, especially not on a film with a smallish budget. So I mean, talk about good fortune. We were able to. obviously landslide's not good fortune, but we were able to take this windy road into town, and almost felt like we had Big Sur to ourselves. Relatively uncrowded beaches, and there's that great scene with Francois on that overlook, and so we were blessed in that way.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, one more thing. If I was going to take a PCH journey myself, what is the one location that I must check out according to you guys?
Actually, Tommy was kind of on, for me, I'd have to go Sand Dollar Beach in Big Sur. It's like on the south coast of Big Sur. There's really only 2 beaches in Big Sur. That's one of them. I think Pfeiffer Beach is the other. You just have to kind of go there and go down to get onto the beach and look around at this incredible landscape. It feels like you're on another planet. It's heavenly in a way.
I don't know. That's right. I gotta say the most kind of, for one reason I'd never been there, but there's an overlook in Monterey where that old cemetery is, where we shot that scene.
Yes.
That is just, you crest this hill and look out over the ocean, and the wind's blowing, and it's there's something kind of mournful about that location, but it is just it just takes your breath away. So I'd maybe put that a close second, because Sand Dollar Beach is.
I actually think you won up to me. That's the better location. You got to do that.
Nice.
I mean, it's one of those things that was so. I mean, that particular day, just to kind of talk about it, like we drove 3.5 hours to shoot what was probably a half-page scene, and the whole crew was questioning why we were doing this. And I think when everyone got there, they understood. I guess it's a pretty breathtaking place.
Yeah,
it does something to you when you step into it. It's called Crystal Cove Cemetery. So if you're ever in Elk, California, in Mendocino, and you need to go see a gravesite, think about your life.
Yeah, right.
I go.
Well, that's a lot to contemplate. Well, it's a beautiful movie. Congratulations to the both of you. I checked it out again and again. So that's terrific. So hopefully we get to do this again, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you. Bye now.
Take care.
Bye-bye.